Coming up, the World of Outlaws' first trip to North Dakota this season got a little messy. We've got a full recap of the rain-soaked show at River Cities Speedway. Donny Schatz is a bona fide sprint car superstar, but he hasn't forgotten where it all began. Shawn goes one-on-one with the 8-time World of Outlaws champion. All that plus a first-time win at Knoxville and a lesson on late models. The green flag drops down. The greatest show on dirt gets a little soggy in North Dakota. How's everybody doing? I'm Jay Elson, and this is Midco Motorsports. River Cities Speedway is among the favorite stops for many of the folks involved with the World of Outlaws. Friday, the series made the first of its 2 scheduled stops in Grand Forks this season. Shawn joins us now with more on this week's A Feature.
Yeah, that's right, Jay. The World of Outlaws making their first stop in North Dakota for a pair of shows this weekend in Grand Forks and Fargo. This is the 11th straight year that the Outlaws have come to the bull ring in Grand Forks. Donny Schatz has been very good at River City Speedway, winning the last 4 Outlaw races there. 38 cars on hand to compete, and the show was quickly moved along with the hopes of beating some inclement weather in the area. Fargo's Donny Schatz started 4th in the main event and would bide his time early on. 22-year-old Jacob Allen started on the pole and led his first ever lap in a World of Outlaws race, but on the 4th circuit he would jump the cushion, losing control coming out of turn 4, hard into the water barrels, losing the fuel tank. A tough break for the youngster, but he would be okay. Unfortunately, as the cars were pushing back off for the restart, the skies opened up, dumping rain that would drench the track, causing a delay that would last nearly 3 hours. Finally, just after midnight, the cars would hit the track again to complete the final 36 laps of the race, with Grand Forks native Mark Dobmeyer starting 8th. On the restart, another big melee on the front stretch as Jason Johnson gets into the back of Brad Sweet, setting off a chain reaction. Paul McMahon and Tim Kading both go airborne, ending their night, but both drivers would also be okay. The tacky and speedy surface made passing very difficult. David Gravel would lead early but would bounce to the high side of the track, allowing Kerry Madsen to slide underneath for the lead, but Gravel back to the low side, using lap traffic to take the lead back on the next lap, and he would cruise from there to take the checkered flag for his 9th victory of the season. Schatz finished 3rd, ending a 4-race winning streak at River City Speedway, while Dobmeyer had to settle for 9th.
Just anxiously waiting there. You don't know what the track's going to be like. Obviously, you had the car set up for how the track was before the rain, and then you pretty much have to undo almost everything you did to get ready for this A-main here after the rain. So it was one of those things. It was a tough track, just being so fast. Lap traffic was really, really tough. And, you know, he biked up a couple times, let Kerry get by me, but then I was able to battle back and get back by him and secure the win. So happy I was able to do that and able to get this win.
All right, we now bring in Mike Speaker, who is all around the racetrack scene in North Dakota, northwest Minnesota. If you've read something about a track around here, odds are this is a guy that's writing about it. So Mike, kind enough to join us here to break down the weekend. And unfortunately, dodging the raindrops all weekend was kind of the theme so far, Mike. But Friday night, things going along pretty good. And then all of a sudden that weather came. And I'll be honest, when it rained, I thought for sure the race was going to be done. I didn't think they'd be able to get that track back working again. What did you think?
Yeah, it definitely came in a hurry. I mean, you could see it coming throughout the, the forecast and the radar and everything. But when it came hard. And like you said, the rain came and we lost the racing surface. They pulled the trucks off the track to quit working on it, and they let it sit for about 45 minutes. And there was a time period we didn't know if we were going to finish the races, and it was getting pretty late. But the track crew did a great job, and a lot of diligent work went into that racetrack, and it was actually a pretty racy surface when we went back racing, nice and smooth. But yeah, I mean, the World of Outlaws have never rained out in Grand Forks, so I know there was a lot of work to keep that streak going, and the track crew did a great job.
You know, and it's funny too, the race actually pushed off at 12:06.
Yep.
With the final 36 laps to go. The late model feature was canceled, but all the fans stayed, which was kind of cool to see too.
Yeah, the stands were still packed. You know, people waited out for an hour or two. You know, eating hot dogs, drinking beer, whatever they did, but they came back to see the racing, and that was cool to see. They got to see a great race too, for sticking around.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, no dodging the rain on Saturday. Things were rained out. Shark Racing actually sent out a great photo of their cars out and what looked like a monsoon-type conditions, rescheduled for August 19th. That was the scheduled rain date had one of these shows been lost, right?
Yeah, definitely. And that makes the most sense logistically. The World of Outlaws Tour will be back up in Grand Forks August 18th, and then they'll just shoot down to Fargo August 19th before heading up to Minot on August 20th. And that's going to be a great weekend too. 3 big nights at North Dakota's 3 most premier racetracks. That's going to be a great weekend with the greatest show on dirt.
Yeah, it should be. And overall, Mike, just talking about car counts are up. We got a busy weekend ahead. When you look, 2 shows at River Cities, televising one, you're very instrumental in helping us get ready for that. It's really an exciting weekend for racing when you factor all that together with Red River Valley running, Jamestown running, and then the 2 shows in Grand Forks.
Yeah, definitely. Really looking forward to the Midco broadcast on Friday night at River Cities. I've had that one circled on the calendar since it was announced. That's going to be a big deal. NOSA Sprints at Norman County Raceway on Thursday. That's going to be a big show. Always get a lot of sprint cars for that. And like you mentioned, the car counts have been up at all the racetracks, whether it's the Wissota tracks, Jamestown, or the IMCA tracks at Buffalo River, Red River Valley Speedway. The IMCA modifieds have really taken off. Fargo sees, if they're under 30 modifieds, that's a low car count for them, and that's great to see because back 10 years ago we were lucky if we got 7 or 8 of them at some nights. So great to see racing is thriving in the Red River Valley, and hope to see it continue to grow.
And let's hope the rain stays away. Thanks so much for joining us.
Not a problem. Thank you.
All right, Jay, back to you.
All right, thanks, Brian. Well, Donny Schatz is one of the best to ever gas up a sprint car, but he's never forgotten his roots. We'll go one-on-one with the North Dakota native and 8-time World of Outlaws champion after this. Donny Schatz has become a worldwide name in sprint car racing, but he's never forgotten his roots. Brian Shawn recently caught up with the current World of Outlaws points leader to find out what drives him, even after all his success. It's this week's Inside Track.
All right, here with the 8-time World of Outlaw champion, Donny Schatz, at his shop here in West Fargo. And Donny, when you started this shop, there wasn't a whole lot around here, and now there's all sorts of things have come up around here. It's crazy, first of all, how this community has grown since you came out to this area.
Yeah, it has. It's grown quite a bit. I remember coming home from Australia in about 2001 or 2002, and came home for Christmas, and we found this place, and it was a gravel road. There was nothing around it. And it was in the country. Now it's pretty well surrounded by homes and parks and everything. So it's great to see how West Fargo's expanded.
And, I was looking at preparing for the interview and kind of looking at some of your stats. And 21 years now on the World of Outlaws Tour. You're not an old guy by any stretch yet. You're not even 40 yet. But has that gone fast, those years? Have they flown by or haven't they?
Oh, they've flown by. It seems like the more you get along, the more fun you have, the quicker it goes. So it seems like, I know I've been around a while, but it's probably aged me a little bit more than what I actually am. But it's been a lot of fun, but it has gone by really quick.
Your 25th win at Knoxville, not that long ago here, and that's kind of been a special track. Obviously it is. It's the home of the sprint car capital of the world. It's got the museum and the Hall of Fame and everything. That's a special place. 25 wins, what a remarkable run. Do you ever let yourself reflect on that at all?
You try not to. You try to not get caught up in the emotions of what this sport brings you. I mean, after a race is over, you might, but we got some big races coming up there in a month or two, so you don't want to get too wrapped up in that. And when you do this 95 nights a year, and it's your passion, you don't get caught up in the emotions and statistics along the way. You just enjoy it while you can, and there's a lot of people that aren't as fortunate to be able to do that, so appreciate everything you have.
Yeah, and I think for you too, Don, Red River Valley Speedway, a chance to stay home a little bit for a weekend in North Dakota. I know Red River Valley Speedway in particular has some particular meaning for you because it was the first place you ran a World of Outlaw race when you were just 15 years old. Your family operated that track for a while, and good to see you racing back at that track.
Absolutely. It's North Dakota in general. Red River Valley Speedway was a place I got to go a lot on Friday nights, cutting my teeth in these type of cars, and the atmosphere that it had and the excitement, and for it to still be there, it's incredible. But the state of North Dakota has a huge presence with the World of Outlaws and always has. So just great to be a part of it. Glad to be from here.
The late model behind me, you kind of see it. You love racing that late model. You go up to Grand Forks and race that thing whenever you get the opportunity. You're kind of doing the double duty, in North Dakota like you have in the past. And What is it about the late model and the sprint car? I mean, those are obviously two very different ways of driving and two very different cars.
I think it's just something different. You know, when you become a professional racer and that's what you do for a living, you get to the point where you feel like you have to keep trying to stay on top of things and try to progress your driving styles and all that. And this car behind me is probably one of the toughest cars to try to drive. You know, all that aero, all them coil springs, and the way the suspension is configured. It's a very sophisticated car, but man, they get them hooked up and they go. So when I got the opportunity to do it at the Prelude to the Dream for Tony Stewart several years ago, it was like getting on a horse and getting bucked off. You know, you don't let the horse win. You're going to get back on and try again. So we got that opportunity to go do a little late model racing. And more than anything, I just love going racing. You know, I might do this for a living, but yet I still like to go and play around and get that opportunity. And it's really hard to do that with the sprint car. You know, I used to have a sprint car I could do that with, and it upset people to go because I do it professionally and I, show up. So you get in something that you don't do professionally and you don't do that often, and there's a lot of great people around our sport. So they've welcomed me with open arms and glad to be a part of it.
Absolutely. And quickly on your season, double-digit wins for the 6th straight year. You know, I know it's not easy, Donny. I know sometimes you make it look easy, but it's one of those things. It is a constant grind, but to continue to be on top of this sport, I've had several guys that have driven sprint cars say winning a World of Outlaw race is the toughest thing to win. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. It's very tough. You know, people don't understand. Like we just did this week, a Kyle Larson, NASCAR star, comes in and wins a World of Outlaw race in awesome fashion. And people don't realize that it's probably easier for someone like him to come and do that than it is to stay out here every day and compete for a championship, because you don't get to go home and reload your trailer after every race and take a couple weeks off. It's race to race to race to race. So when you get the beatdown going on and you're not doing good, you don't get to go hit the reset button like these guys that come and hit and miss here and there and go and come as they please. It's hotel to hotel, work through the problems, work with your team, try to build, try to progress. It compounds that problem 10 times worse. So, that's what being with a great race team like these guys, they're very good at that, and they make us look very good, like we're on top of our game. And it's been a great year. You look at the wins, we've had 10 Outlaw wins, a couple All-Star wins. It looks all good, but man, for 2 months we feel like we've kind of had our feet and our knees on the ground, and we got to get back out of that stage. So we're working hard to fix that.
Well, thanks so much for the time, Donny. We appreciate it, and best wishes to you in the future. We'll see you down the road at a couple of races too.
Thank you.
As he approaches the halfway point of his season, Schatz is in position for his 9th World of Outlaws title. In addition to leading the points, Schatz also, as of now, the only driver with double-digit victories on the series this season. Well, a win at Knoxville means a little more than it does at most tracks, and another local driver just found that out firsthand. We'll show you the highlights next. And welcome back. Well, when Badlands Motor Speedway decided to shut down for the summer, a lot of local sprint car drivers were forced to turn to Plan B. For Estherville, Iowa native Matt Jewell, the only real alternative was Knoxville Raceway. The 27-year-old, who now lives in Sioux Falls, completed a full season in the Track's 360 class in 2014, but until now he had never been anything more than an occasional competitor with the 410s. Saturday, Jewell showed why many believed he would be up to that challenge. Jewell was on the pole for the night's 20-lap A main, and he leads the charge off the start, settling in ahead of Austin McCarl and Josh Schneiderman. Lap 3 now, Brian Brown trying to make a move, but the 21 kicks a wheel. That sends him into a violent tumble in turn 1. Brown's car absolutely destroyed, but he did walk away uninjured. After that, no one would challenge the 09 car. Jewell dominates for his first ever win at Knoxville Raceway, and he was just a tad excited about it.
This is unbelievable. I'm literally in shock right now. I mean, it kind of felt luckily to be on the front row, and, all I had to do is stay out there. I mean, there's a lot of good guys behind us, and I get to lap traffic. It's unbelievable how much dirty air you can have, on those guys, but that was a workout, and I'm not gonna believe I'm here until, I don't know, it's gonna take a while.
Let's move north now. Another solid turnout at Rapid Speedway. 86 cars in total, including 22 B mods. The guy that's been most consistent in that division this year has been Rock Rapids' own Chris Huseman, and he showed that yet again. Huseman takes the top spot from Coulter Deutsch right here. And that would be the only lead change of the night. Huseman rolls on to become the B-Mod's first two-time winner and adds to his points lead in the process.
Actually, it's doing really good this year. We struggled the last couple of years with it, and now we finally got it hooked up, and hopefully we stay that way.
After coming up just short in the back row challenge last week, Elijah Zevenbergen didn't have quite as far to go this time. He started 7th for this one, and he closed the gap in a hurry. A few laps in, he's already hot on the heels of pole setter Randy Brands, and the 66Z ultimately overtakes the 27 on the outside. Not a lot of drama after that. Zevenbergen capitalizes on the clean air and cruises to yet another stock car win. He's now 5 for 6 in Rock Rapids this season. Finally, we check in on the Midwest late models. Gary Brown Jr. has not had a whole lot of luck at Rocky in his career, but that would change on this night. After a brief battle with the 38 of Jordan Hyman, Brown takes control for good on lap 5, and he goes on for just his second ever victory at Rapid Speedway.
I still don't feel comfortable driving this track for some reason. I don't know, it's weird. I've never had a lot of laps on this place, never raced here a lot in the past, but you know, it just helps to get that many more laps of experience here, and hopefully, you know, we got a big race coming up here in July 7th with the Wissota Challenge Series, and hopefully we can run a little bit better with those guys.
It is shaping up to be another tightly contested race for the late model crown at City Speedway. Find out which driver cashed in over the weekend when Midco Motorsports rolls on. It's been a couple of usual suspects leading the way in City Speedway's late model division so far this season. Chad Becker and Kurt Gelling, who have combined to win 9 of the last 12 track championships in Watertown, have split the first 4 features in alternating fashion. Sunday it was technically Becker's turn, although 9 other guys were going to have something to say about it. More on that race in a bit. The 50 car of Tim Waba led the field to green for the night's Midwest Modifieds feature, and Waba would stay out front until the caution flag flew with 5 laps to go. Shortly after the restart, DJ Tesh makes his move. The 30 car gets by the 50 on the high side, and that was all it took. Tesh captures a checkered flag for the first time this season and moves to within 5 points of the overall lead.
That last caution, I decided to go to the top, and the car stuck, and we went right around. The track was awesome tonight. We could run anywhere, top, bottom, middle. They did a good job prepping track tonight.
Back to the late models. Becker started 8th for this one, but as expected, the 12 quickly made its way to the front. Becker would get pressure from defending track champ Scott Ward, though, and the 37 wins the battle. Becker gets a little too low between turns 3 and 4, and while he hung tough, he never would get the lead back. Ward holds on for his first win of the year at Casino. Late models are a fan favorite in our region, but there's a lot more to these machines than meets the eye. We'll wrap things up with a look at the late model makeup after this. Welcome back. We're introducing a new segment on the show this week, which is something we like to call Shop Talk. The idea is to give you a chance to learn a little bit more about the cars you see running around your favorite racetrack. Tonight, Brian, Shawn, and the gang give us a closer look at exactly what makes up an NLRA late model.
All right, back for another edition of Shop Talk, and we are in the shop of Dustin Strand, who is the 2016 Wissota National Champion on the late model. Chris Schierick also joins me, our Midco SN racing analyst. And Chris, I know sprint cars were kind of your forte. I asked you about late models. You didn't know a heck of a lot about late models, which is why we're bringing Dustin in to explain it a little bit more.
Brought in Dustin here today.
So, all right, so let's get into it a little bit, Chris. What do you want to know about a late model?
Well, Dustin, what makes a late model a late model?
Well, I guess these are all full tubular chassis race cars, full body, as you can see, full fendered race car, 2,300 pounds. That's our weight rule at the end of the race. We got a 360 cubic inch engine in it, aluminum headed engine. 90% of them are Chevrolets, but there's also, you know, whatever, there's no limitations on that. You can have whatever brand you're partial to.
Okay. What do you got for like aerodynamics? I see you got a big nose on this. You got the the spoiler on the back. Can you kind of do a little bit on the aerodynamics of this
Yeah,
this
the
machine?
aerodynamics are a pretty huge part of these cars. As you can see, the whole front end is, everything's pretty smooth and aerodynamic. We got the nose down as low as we can go. Actually, the front of the car, we actually have up about a foot on the right side, because as you roll through the corner, these cars are really pinned down on the right front. And kind of the goal is to keep this whole nose sealed off to the racetrack as best we can. Of course, the tracks we race on aren't always perfectly smooth, so they can't be right on the ground like a pavement car, but we try to get them as close as we can, I guess.
Yep. And speaking of that, I know there's times you never want to have damage occur to your race car. I noticed sometimes we get a little too high coming out of a corner and you bust up that right rear spoiler. I noticed you have some fins in there. They're kind of offset. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, we actually make that wing in 2 pieces now. So yeah, like you say, if you do get too close to the wall or another car, that little piece breaks away and you still have 75% of your wing, because that's a huge part of the handling of the race car, that wing on the back. I actually had one night, I didn't know it, but I had gotten up against the wall on a restart, and after that the car just had no forward drive, and whenever we come in, well, the whole wing was tore off, and that was the reason. So now we got it kind of figured out. We got a little breakaway panel over there, so in theory, hopefully just that little section breaks away and you can keep on racing.
All right, that's Dustin Strand. That's more than enough, and you need to know about a late model.
All right, that's going to do it for us for this week. For Brian, Shawn, Greg Ankers, and our producer, Max Jensen, I am Jay Elson. Don't forget our first ever live racing event coming up this Friday from Grand Forks here on Midco Sports Network. We're going to be back here to recap that and the rest of the regional racing action 1 week from tonight. Until then, enjoy the races, everyone. We'll see you next time.